The board will now come to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Here. Alderman Volmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Arnowitz. Here. Alderwoman Murphy. Here. Alderwoman Howard. Present. Alderwoman Green. Present. Alderman Oldenburg. Present. Alderman Rhodey. Alderman Kennedy. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Present. Alderman Boyd. Present. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Ogilvie. Here. Alderman Cone. Present. Alderman Williamson. Here. Alderwoman Boyd. Here. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Here.
You have 19 present, Mr. President. You have a quorum.
Quorum being present, we will be led today in prayer by Pastor John Watson of Maple Temple. Maybe I'll stand for prayer. We want to have a moment of silence for Kyle Morris, the son of our own Terrence Morris, Sergeant at Arms of the Board of Aldermen. We'll quote from the Holy Scriptures. Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you, wherever you go. Gracious God, Heavenly Father, your goodness has never failed us. Your love has never faded. As we begin another session, we present ourselves before you, acknowledging with gratitude the progress that we have made. Empower us with your Spirit, that we may be made ready with steady faith and faithful love to face the challenging issues of our day. As we serve the citizens in this community, enable us to be confident and courageous in keeping our trust in you and our concern for the welfare of our great city, and our belief in goodwill among us and the different communities that are present. Into your arms we commit ourselves, our family, our community, our city. Amen. Let's everyone to please send your thoughts and prayers to Terrence. Losing a child is just devastating. So please send your thoughts and prayers and kind words. Or if you haven't had a chance to talk to him, please pick up the phone, talk to him. Terrence has been with the board for many, many years, and he's going through a very difficult time right now. And also, welcome back from your summer break. I know as an alderman or elected official, it's not like you actually get time off. But you at least did not have to come to the meetings on Friday, so that was a bit of a break, and the committee hearings were a bit of a break, so welcome back. I'm also so pleased today to have with us our Mayor, Lyda Cruson, your former colleague. We also have Sly James, the Mayor of Kansas City, with us, and also Governor Parsons. So it's going to be a great day today. You know, I've had the pleasure of serving with former Alderwoman Cruzen and now Mayor Cruzen, the first female mayor of the city of St. Louis in our history for many years. She has done a great job, and she's taken on the job as mayor, and she did it during a very, very difficult time. And she's really done a great job. So I tell you what, I want you to join me in a great big round of applause for our mayor as we bring her forward for some words.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's great to be back here with you, and it's an honor to be here with you today with Mayor Sly James and Governor Parson. You know, when Governor Parson first became the governor, went up to see him, and he said, "You know what I want you to do is I want you to go with me to Kansas City, and we'll do a tour of Kansas City. And then we'll come to St. Louis with Mayor Sly James, and we'll do a tour of St. Louis. And then the third trip that we're going to make is a trip to rural Missouri. Because as we all know, we have more in common than we do differences. And so these tours that we're taking, I think, really help us to understand that the issues that we have here in St. Louis are also issues in Kansas City and also issues in rural Missouri. So with that, I want to just take this opportunity to introduce Mayor Sly James, and he's going to give you a little greeting this morning. And Mayor James is a close personal friend. Some of you will remember he was here for my inauguration a year and 4 months ago, and so it's been great to have this relationship to talk about things back and forth. So, Mayor James.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be back. I remember being here for the inauguration, and I was very honored to be invited into your chamber, your house, to say a few words then, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to do so again today. The very interesting thing about being together with Mayor Cruzen and the governor is that it is exactly the way the government is supposed to act. We are not supposed to be fighting amongst ourselves. We should be trying to find sustainable solutions to the chronic problems that are the ills of this city, this state, my city, this country, the entire thing. Because it is only because we find ways to work together that we are actually able to achieve. The other thing that I really like is the fact that we are now exchanging more and more information between our two cities. Face it, with all due respect to everybody else, these two cities are extremely important to the state. We are economic engines. We provide jobs. We provide housing. We provide educational opportunities. And all of those things need to be done at a much higher level so that we are able to reach everybody, because in this city and in mine, we still have a lot of poverty. In this city and in mine, we still have a lot of homelessness. In this city and in mine, we still need more and more kids educated. We need quality pre-K in both of our cities, because we are going to have to provide this city and this state and my city and the state with quality workforces in the future. And with the advent of the advance of technology, the rapidly changing economies and the skill sets that are needed, we have to start reaching our children at a much earlier age than kindergarten. It's too late. Brains are 85% formed. We have to do more. And that's one of the things that we'll be pounding on the governor about. Look at him, he's cringing over there. I can look at the corner of my eye and he's saying, get him down from there before he goes any further. Ain't gonna happen. But the governor, I want to just tell you this. This is the third governor I've had the opportunity to work with. Two of them I actually had the opportunity to work with. This governor is working with us. He reached out. He is willing to listen and to talk. We're not going to agree about everything. That's not even possible. Then again, my wife and I don't agree about everything either, and we're still together. But this governor listens, and he's willing to work with us to try to find solutions to the problems that we have and to make sure that we are building on the strengths that we have. That is what leadership is all about, and I commend him for that. I also want to take this opportunity to say that this lady here is really pretty cool. We have had opportunities to work with her, to exchange ideas, but also to fellowship and to get to know each other. And I think all of those things are important. So thank you very much for allowing me to address you in your chamber. It is a unique honor to be able to do that, and I very much appreciate it and won't forget it. But now I'd like for you to welcome our governor, a man who I think is still drinking from a fire hose to some extent, but that's okay. But a man who I think is one that we can talk about issues with and have a reasonable, measured conversation and reach compromises in situations that make life better for the people in this city, my city, and the rest of the state of Missouri. Governor Parson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please be seated. What an honor it is to be here in your house, to be in this chamber. Not too long ago, when I was Lieutenant Governor of the state of Missouri, I got to kind of do what President Reed gets to do and preside over that. I hope he has better luck keeping everybody in line than what I did with all those senators in the state of Missouri. But I had the opportunity to work with some amazing people, and as I become governor of the state of Missouri, one of the things that was crucial to me and was so important was to be able to build relationships. Because all of us know in this chamber, the only way that you become successful as leaders is through relationships that you establish along the way. And to have the mayor of St. Louis and the mayor of the Kansas City, to be able to share with them my visions and listen to their visions about their cities and how important both of those cities, Mayor James just mentioned how important St. Louis and Kansas City is to the state of Missouri. They're critical to the state of Missouri. What you do here matters, and where we go in the future. And one of the things that I think is important, and that I've had the opportunity to talk to mayors, we're not going to agree on some things. I'm not going to agree on some of the things that you do here, and you're not going to agree on some of the things I do. But I will tell you this, if we will be open-minded with one another, there will be many, many things that we will agree on that will be the best thing in the world for the state of Missouri, and we should all focus on that. And I'll tell you, for me, as a parent and as a grandparent with a lot of gray hair, and I've earned about every bit of it, I think, that's up there. But I'll tell you what's important to me. The two items that I have spoken the most about since I became governor is infrastructure and workforce development. If you want to take Missouri to another level, that's how we'll do it, working together for those two things. And why is those things important? Because of these young men and women that are sitting right over here today in your chamber, because they are the future. And the only reason most of us are here today, to be right honest about it, and if you really think about it, the privileges you get to live today is because of what people done before you. That's what we do every day as public servants. You can take all the titles away, you can take the mayor and the governor titles away. But what you ought to all remember is that we are no more or no less than public servants. We're working for all the people standing around this room, or we're working for these kids over here. But they should have the same opportunities that we have. And the only way we get that done is all of us working together. And that's why I'm working with these mayors. And it's why I respect both of them for what they're doing in their cities, because I've got the opportunity to be with them, to know who they are. And I'll tell you, each one of them are both public servants, just like me. We're just trying to make things better. It is an honor and privilege to be the 57th governor of the state of Missouri. There's nobody more humble than me to have that title, and I have a short window of time to get things done. And the only way I get things done is with all of you sitting in those desks, sitting behind those desks today, working together, working with these two mayors, working with people all over this state to make the things that we agree on, because that's what I want to focus on. I don't want to argue and fight. Washington, D.C. does plenty of that. They don't need any help. Missouri's better than that, and we can stay focused on the issues at hand and make things better for your communities and the people you represent. It's an honor and privilege to be the governor of the state of Missouri. Thank you very much for having me here this morning. Thank you.
Now, we've been doing the homework, and I do believe that this is a historic occasion because from as best as we can tell, this is the first time we've had the mayor from Kansas City, the mayor from St. Louis, and the governor attend a board meeting together. So I tell you, let's give them one more big round of applause. Because that's what you need to usher on positive change for the people, specifically our people here in the city of St. Louis. Mayor James, you know, we want ours first, right? But I tell you what, I'm inviting everybody up here. If you want to come up, members of the Board of Aldermen, we're going to take a photo right here on the dais. If you want to come up and join us, come up and join us for the photo before they leave. Thanks again.
I've got some interesting times.
You remake the game. You remake it. Take it. And can I have the kids start coming across?
Steve, come on.
Come. Yeah. Follow me. You guys can come this way. Half of you come this way and take the top step. Let's get in there. This is a historic day in St. Louis. Maybe the rest of you go back down around to the bottom. Shake the governor's hand for me. Say hello. Out of St. Louis.
You want to go shake his hand? If you want to go shake his hand, go that way.
You guys gotta go. Come on. The last of you come down here.
Go shake his hand.
You gotta go fast. Back to the full board. With that, we're going to return to our business. We're going to take up a special order of the day. Alderman from the 19th, you recognize on the motion for the courtesy resolutions calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for adoption of our courtesy resolution agenda.
Moved by the Alderman from the 19th, seconded by the Alderman from the 18th. Alderman from the 19th, please approach the dais.
I need you to sign the resolution. What an exciting morning. It is nice to make history at any point, no matter how small or large it is. But today, I am honored to recognize City Garden School. This charter school has proven that there is a right way to do education. We have many charter schools in the St. Louis City area. We've seen many of them close. Most of them are fortunate if they make it 2 years. But this school today, we are honoring their 10th anniversary. And in those 10 years, they have shown our community that everyone can be a part of a young person's education. Aside from those who volunteer, who donate funds, who just simply come by and say hi, bring by some school supplies, some fruit, whatever it is, they contribute. But aside from all that, you've got to have a great mission and a great leader. And what I've seen is they have all of that. The school has had challenges, but they've overcome them. And they know that at the end of the day, it is not about how fancy the building is. It's not about how high your salary is, but it's about how you nurture and educate the young people who need to be prepared for a good quality of life. So what I'd like to do is ask that our leader for City Garden School, Christy, I need you to come up. Bring your crew and bring your students, because this is your honor to share. Oh, yes, come. Yes. City Garden Montessori School, and before I go any further, some of the students, I know your catchment area, which is shared with me, the alderperson from the 8th Ward. I don't see her. Oh, okay, come on up here.
And Joe Rody.
And Joe Rody, that's right, 17th Ward. I'm just blessed that the building is now located in my ward. Come on up, fill it in. So the City Garden Montessori School was founded by Trish Curtis and Mary Mitchell in 1995. And the intent was to provide high-quality early education experience to children in the city of St. Louis, and for a very affordable price. But as we moved forward with the school's mission, it was to redefine education by developing the whole child in an excellent, inclusive Montessori school program. And when you reimagine a community, which sometimes when we talk about reinventing, reinvesting, reimagining, usually what we're doing is we're just warming up the same old soup. But this is different with the City Montessori. They actually did something different. So they created spaces and systems that help to restore a collective humanity and to also reinvigorate. When we look at how we share with individuals and communities, in order for them to thrive with whatever disparities they have, you have to make sure that barriers to success are removed. That has been done. And many times it's a very simple process to get that done. But many times we spend a lot of time on the oh, woe is me, and what can I do, and how much money can you give me? But instead, they sit down and they figure it out, and they figure it out in the most beneficial way to the school, to the children, to the families, without all the chaos. I'm going to read a very small portion of this resolution because I wanted to not only have the opportunity for you to hear directly from their president, but I also want to hear from one of the students, because you have to feel what happens at that school. And I know the difference, because in the St. Louis public schools, if I can get the attention of the alderpersons in the rear, these children will get all of our attention today. We will know that it is possible to have this in every school. We have it in many schools, but we need to have it in every school. So the City Garden Montessori School was recognized in 2015 for Forward Through Ferguson Commission at a Path Toward Racial Equality report, and has received numerous awards, including the 2010 Missouri Charter Public School Association Best Innovative Practice, and in 2012 Charter School of the Year Awards, and in 2015 Green Schools Quest Award. And for those who don't understand what those awards mean, it means that you are the best in the state of Missouri. We don't have that many schools that score 100% on the state board's evaluation, but they have done that. In most instances, they are always over 90, but they have achieved 100. So that's a lot to look at and to applaud them on. Please do. And so our neighborhoods, Botanical Heights, Forest Park Southeast, Shaw, Southwest Garden, and Tiffany neighborhoods are blessed. People are on waiting lists trying to get into school. That's another good thing. People are buying homes in the catchment area so that their children can attend the school. But what I want to say most importantly is these young people are offered the opportunity to grow, explore, be curious, and most definitely have a dream. Thank you. Christy?
Thank you so much, Alderwoman Davis, and to all of you. This is an extreme honor and privilege, and it's a privilege to be with you all today. One of the things that is so special about City Garden is that it was founded by, the charter school was founded by parents who live in the neighborhoods that we serve. And it was parents who saw the enormous disparities that exist in our city, and inequities that exist in education, and the profound impact that has on our city. And it was parents who knew that together we can do better and do differently. And we got determined to create something that kind of shows that we can do better and do differently, and that all of our children really deserve the absolute best, and that together we can live in community and raise our children together and educate and nurture our children. So City Garden is really a community success story, and is a model for what is possible. And we're extremely proud and excited to be part of the City of St. Louis and helping to move things forward to serve all of our children and families. So thank you so much. We have a student, Sydney Hankins, who will say just a couple words.
So, hi, my name is Sydney Hankins. I am an 8th grader here at City Garden. I've been attending the school for 7, soon to be 8 years now. So first, walking into the school, I was worried, kind of anxious. It's kind of like first day of school jitters. And we've all experienced the fear of anxiety and fear, but first meeting my peers, all that anxiety, fear seemed to melt away. City Garden has helped shape me into a leader. It's helped me come out as a fun, giggly, confident person. That is who I want to be represented as. And so the teachers, staff have helped my journey as a student become an enjoyable one, and I'm really thankful for that, because I know many students out there don't get all the privileges that I have been able to grasp as a student, and so I'm truly very thankful for that. And that is about all.
Alderman Rhoda, you were there from day one.
I'll be very brief. I'm sorry. It's a long program today. I had the good fortune, Christy invited me to the celebration last night, and the importance of quality schools for neighborhoods are undeniable. And the celebration last night, which was just a hoot, it was so much fun to see that energy and enthusiasm on the playgrounds. They had hundreds of people in a neighborhood that 10 years ago, it would have been hard to imagine that happening. And City Garden now is such a central part of that. And congratulations, Christy, for all you've done, and the staff and the students. It's really exciting to have you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Rice.
Thank you. I'll also be brief. I just want to say congratulations on your 10 years. All of the good work that you've done for the students, for the area, the deeply conscientious work that you are doing around racial equity, an anti-bias, anti-racism training that is reached out to the whole community and not just to your students. So thank you for being a great community partner in that, and for helping lead in those areas as we go forward. Thank you.
I want to recognize our principal, Dr. Nicole Evans, who has led the school over the last 5 years.
As our president comes forward here, I want to share with you that as hard as the staff works at City Montessori, they're also out volunteering in neighborhood activities as well. I've never seen anything like it. They are truly a part of the community, and I just applaud you for having that attitude about everything, and I thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I would like to say to the youth, you all are amazing. Continue to believe in yourself. Never, ever forget that you are extremely powerful. You are very, very powerful. You are the future of everything that this world beholds, and whatever it is that we'll be partaking in as we get old, you all will be the people that bring that forth. So we appreciate you all and understand that there's love in this room. And I would like everybody to get up on their feet, because these are the future. These are children in here. You know, we get a lot of people to come to the Board of Aldermen, so we got to make sure we stand up for our children and give them a round of applause. You all are amazing, and never forget that. Thank you all.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I also just want to add my thanks and congratulations on behalf of myself and people all throughout the city in the region who have not had the opportunity to thank you for a job well done. Certainly your works will not go unnoticed, because the product that you're turning out goes out, they're going out and they're changing the world in communities all over this country now. That 10 years has had an opportunity to touch lives, and they went out and touched even more lives. So on behalf of my family and friends, and as a father of 4, I truly want to thank you for a job well done. This resolution is the highest honor the board has to give any organization or individual. And what it does, it cements in time some of your many contributions up until this point. So 100, 200 years from now, when you read about the Renaissance and the rebirth of our city, and you read about this time today, you will read that we paused in our deliberations to properly recognize you for a job well done. And we want to continue to encourage you to continue to go on and change lives for many years to come. Congratulations on behalf of the members of the Board of Aldermen, my family and friends, and people all across this country who won't have an opportunity to thank you personally. Let's give them one more big round of applause. Thank you. We're going to want to do a photo, right? So, want to line up right there? Okay, we're going to do a photo. Yeah. Yeah. And they... Yeah, this go back and go on this side. Welcome. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our courtesy resolution calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we'll return to our regular order of business. Introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? I see we have our... Go ahead, Alderman first.
Members of the board, I have several honored guests here today. We had a happy day back in August the 7th, and I'd like to introduce you to the new state rep-elect of the 76th District, Mr. Chris Carter Sr.
Please stand. Welcome.
The recorder of deed elect, Mr. Michael Butler.
Welcome, Mike. Welcome.
I believe we had Madam License Collector who was re-elected, Mavis Thompson.
Yep.
And just a new shout out to my new state senator, Carla May.
Thank you for that. Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. Give it honor to God who has brought me through these trials and tribulations. On August the 3rd, I was pronounced dead.
Yeah.
But they said I died, but they lied.
And we're glad, we're happy about it.
I want to thank everybody, Beth Murphy, Carol Howard, Gunther, you, Mr. President, Maurice Falls, all those, Terry Kennedy, John Muhammad, Bosley, Sharon Tyus, especially because she's been running my ward while I've been sick. And my committee woman, Miss Dwayne Evans, if she's in here.
Yes, she is.
John Watson took care of me very well, cut my grass and did everything that needed to be done. The Reverend John Watson, who did the prayer. So I want to thank everybody for what you've done for me, and I'll be carrying on, and I appreciate you. And if I forgot your name, charge it to my head, not my heart. God bless you.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Sam, and we are so happy to see you. Also, Alderman from the 14th.
Good morning, Mr. President and esteemed colleagues. I'd like to have as my honored guest Demetrius Alfred from Firefighters Local 73, along with Nathan Lett from Firefighters Local 73, Jeff Abusi, Clinton McBride from Laborers Local 110, and Lou Hamilton from Centrex Group. Thank you.
Alderman from the 13th.
Yes, President, members of the board, I would like to welcome back the alderman also. It's wonderful to see him standing up and everything rather than the other times when we visited him. So I'm very glad he's back. And I would like to have as my honored guest Jeff Hans from the Carpenters Regional Council. Thank you.
Alderman from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I'd like to have as my honored guests today Megan McBride and Austin Grant from the Kelly Group and Sinette Magnus from the downtown law firm of Lewis Rice. Thank you.
Alderman from the 12th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to introduce my special guest today from the plumbing industry, Lou Grassi, president, and Xavier Gazier. They are here from the plumbing industry today. Also, I'd like to introduce, I'll say that for the alderman from the 22nd, Sean Weller, who's here somewhere, and Sidney Johnson, who I understand is running for the school board this time. But anyway, thank you for your time.
Alderman from 22nd.
I know the alderman from the 14th wanted to reintroduce the state rep-elect from the 76, Chris Carter, but you could have went ahead and did that. That'd have been fine. But anyway, I want to have Chris Pickle and Leroy Grant with AT&T as my special guests.
Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to have as my honored guest today Mr. Sean Sims, president of Simcoe Distribution.
Any further introductions? Any further introductions? I see we also have Jesse Todd, the committee man at 18. Let's give him a big round of applause for all of his hard work. Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Alderman from the 18th.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I'd also like to introduce Mr. Darrell Piggy, who is a resident of the 18th Ward. He's here.
Welcome, Darrell.
Approval of the minutes?
Yes. You recognize on approval of the minutes?
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for the approval of the July 6th and 13th minutes.
Moved by Alderman from the 18th, seconded by Alderman from the 6th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Copies of items 6A through C have been placed in all of the aldermen's mailboxes. From the office of the mayor. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for reappointment to the Broadway Hotel Community Improvement District. Mr. Robert O'Laughlin, whose property is in the 7th Ward. Mr. Craig Cobbler, whose property is in the 7th Ward. Mr. Joseph Mooney, whose property is in the 7th Ward. Mr. Kathy Rafferty, whose property is in the 7th Ward. And Mr. Steve O'Laughlin, whose property is in the 7th Ward.
Alderman from the 7th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Broadway Hotel Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move to approve the mayor's appointments.
Moved by the Alderman from the 7th. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the Board of Aldermen, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Cherokee-Lemp Business District. Mr. Jacob Ettinger, whose business is located in the 9th Ward.
Alderman from the 9th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Cherokee-Lemp Special Business District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move that we accept the mayor's nomination of Mr. Jacob.
Moved by the Alderman from the 9th. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individual for appointment to the Central West End Special Business District. Ms. Lori Thaman, who resides in the 17th Ward.
Alderman from the 17th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Central West End South Special Business District.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we approve the appointment.
Moved by the Alderman from the 17th. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the 212 South Grand Community Improvement District. Ms. Jill Dawson, who is a property owner representative in the 19th Ward. Mr. Jason Fulton, who is a property owner representative in the 19th Ward.
Alderman from the 19th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the 212 South Grand Community Improvement District.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move to adopt the mayor's appointments to the Grand Community Improvement District.
Moved by the Alderman from the 19th, seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for reappointment to the Union Station Community Improvement District. Mr. Robert O'Laughlin, whose property is in the 6th Ward. Mr. Craig Cobbler, whose property is in the 6th Ward.
Alderman from the 6th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Union Station Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move that we move the mayor's appointments to the Neighborhood Development Committee.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 6th, and I entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 20th, that we assign the mayor's appointment to the Alderman from the 6th. Which committee did you want to assign? To the Neighborhood Development Committee. So it's been moved by the Alderman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderman from the 20th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, please assign that appointment to the Neighborhood Development Committee.
So noted. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for reappointment to the Cheshire Annex Community Improvement District. Mr. Robert O'Laughlin, whose property is in the 28th Ward. Mr. Craig Cobbler, whose property is in the 28th Ward. Mr. Joseph Mooney, whose property is in the 28th Ward. Ms. Kathy Rafferty, whose property is in the 28th Ward. Mr. Steve O'Laughlin, whose property is in the 28th Ward.
Alderman from the 28th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Cheshire Annex Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the mayor's appointment.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 28th. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 7th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That is the extent of the office of the mayor, Mr. President.
We will dispense with line item 7. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? We will dispense with line items 8 through 10. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 100, sponsored by Alderman Arnowitz, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of the Department of Human Services by and through the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging and on to accept a grant award from St. Louis City Senior Services Fund in the amount of $50,000 over the next fiscal year and to expend those funds for the City Benefits Plus program as set forth in the grant award agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 101, sponsored by Alderwoman Hubbard, an ordinance pertaining to the Owl's Restaurant located at 1200 North 1st Street, having as subject matter the designation of the property as a City of St. Louis landmark, containing definitions, landmarks, standards, and a severability clause. Board Bill 102, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended and approved by the Airport Commission and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the mayor and the comptroller to accept and execute a certain airport aid agreement offered by the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the marketing and promotion of air service at the airport for a maximum obligation of $350,000 for the reimbursement of direct costs associated with the project funded under the grant agreement and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 103, sponsored by Alderman Bosley, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Rice, Alderman Gunther, Alderman Volmer, Alderwoman Martin, Alderwoman Murphy, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Ogilvie, Alderman Cone, Alderman Williamson, Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderwoman Navarro, Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderwoman Spencer, and Alderman Rhodey. An ordinance approved and recommended by the Board of Public Service and enacted pursuant to Article 21 of the City Charter and Chapter 523 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri, approving the use of condemnation to acquire a site consisting of about 97 acres in North St. Louis near the intersection of Jefferson and Cass, which is owned in fee simple by LCRA Holdings Corporation, which site was chosen for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency's new NGA West facility, finding that acquisition of the property is required for purposes of national security, finding that there is a plan to put the property to public use by the government of the United States of America, finding that the property is unoccupied but is the location for the planned National Geospatial Intelligence Agency's new NGA West complex, appropriating funds and authorizing the expenditure of funds for the acquisition of said property, approving the city's subsequent transfer of title to the property to LCRAH or to the United States government, authorizing and directing certain actions by city officials and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 104, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance enlarging the boundaries of the Port Authority of the City Port District, subject to the approval of the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, and authorizing certain actions in connection therewith. Board Bill 105, sponsored by Alderman Kennedy and President Reed, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to submit all necessary applications and to enter into agreements with the Missouri Foundation for Health, grant number 18-0136, OF18, for participation in a project to develop a criminal justice coordinating council to advance social justice and reforming pretrial bail to reduce the jail population, and authorizing the mayor, upon approval of the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, to expend any funds received by said grant to fulfill the obligations of the grant and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 106, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad. Pursuant to Ordinance 68937, it is an ordinance authorizing the honorary naming of streets, Harry's Place Way, which will begin at the intersection of Pope and West Florissant and run west on Pope to the intersection with Rosalie. Board Bill 107, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 65698, approved on November 20th, 2002, naming certain streets located within O'Fallon Park and naming said streets as set forth in this ordinance, and authorizing and directing the Director of Streets and the Director of Parks to take all necessary actions to properly designate said streets in accordance with this ordinance. Board Bill 108, sponsored by Alderwoman Pamela Boyd, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to permanently close, barricade, or otherwise impede the flow of traffic on the east-west alleyway in City Block 5000, bounded by Robin, Lillian, Riverview, and Theodore at a point on said alleyway that is approximately 10 feet southeast of the curb line of Theodore Avenue and containing an emergency clause. That is the extent of the first reading of board bills, Mr. President.
Reference to committee.
Transportation and Commerce, Board Bills 102 and 104. Health and Human Services, Board Bill 100. Housing, it's Board Bill 103. Public Safety.
101.
101 and 103.
101, okay.
Public Safety, Board Bill 105. Streets, Board Bill 106, 107, and 108. And
let's do those all over again. Let's start at the top. Transportation and Commerce.
All right. Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 102 and Board Bill 104. Health and Human Services, Board Bill 100. Housing, Urban Development and Zoning, 101 through 103. Public Safety, Board Bill 105. Streets, Board Bill 106, 107, and 108. Neighborhood Development Committee, the mayor's appointment to the mayor's appointments to the Union Station Community Improvement District. That is the extent of assignment to committee, Mr. President.
A reference to committee.
Reference.
We dispense with line items 13 through 15. Board bills for perfection.
Board Bill 92, sponsored by Alderwoman Navarro, Volmer, Vaccaro, Ingracia, and Gunther. An ordinance adopted pursuant to Section 70210 through 70325 of the revised statutes of Missouri, authorizing and directing the City of St. Louis, a constitutional charter city of the state of Missouri, by and through its Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, to execute and deliver an intergovernmental cooperation agreement by and among the city and the Art Museum Subdistrict of the Metropolitan Zoological Park and the Museum District of the city, a political subdivision of the state of Missouri. That is the extent of board bills for perfection, Mr. President.
Alderman from 28th, you recognize on the perfection of Board Bill number 92.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to perfect Board Bill 92.
Moved by the Alderman from the 28th. I'll entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 13th. Alderman from the 28th, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board Bill 92 authorizes the city through the Director of Parks to enter into an agreement with the Art Museum for a wonderful addition to our public art collection here in St. Louis. I am here today to also introduce Amendment Number 1, which is on all of your desks. Amendment Number 1 is an emergency clause, which we need to insert into the bill due to the timing of construction and our break. In order to get this project off and moving, we need to insert this emergency clause. The really wonderful thing about this project that I'd also like to mention, not only does it enhance the public art collection here in St. Louis, this installation will be in front of the Art Museum in Forest Park, and the Art Museum will be taking on several $100,000 of improvements to the street, much needed improvements to the street and to drainage in front of the Art Museum that will benefit the city and visitors to Forest Park and to the Art Museum. So I move to approve Amendment Number 1. Yes, it is.
Amendments on everyone's. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 28th that we add Amendment Number 1 to Board Bill Number 92, adding an emergency clause. I entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 20th. Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt amendment to Board Bill 92. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Motion carries. Alderman from the 28th, you recognize.
Mr. President, I renew my motion to perfect Board Bill 92 as amended.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 28th, seconded by the Alderman from the 13th, that we perfect Board Bill 92 as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
That is the extent of board bills for perfection, Mr. President.
Dispense with line items 17 and 18 and 19. First reading of resolutions.
Resolution 87, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis. The Board of Aldermen pause in our deliberations to recognize... First reading of resolutions. Resolution 97, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, affirming Board of Aldermen support for the modernization and strengthening of the Community Investment Act. Resolution number 98, sponsored by Alderman Kennedy, approving the establishment of the North Central Business District.
Is due one at a time. Alderwoman from the 19th, you recognize on the first reading resolution number 97.
I know. Mr. President, members of the board, I ask for approval of Resolution 97 in recognition of Pappy's Restaurant.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 19th. I'll entertain a second on the motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 21st.
I don't know what number it is.
Are you requesting unanimous consent?
Sure.
All right. Hearing no objection to unanimous consent, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 19th and seconded by the Alderman from the 21st that we adopt resolution number 97. Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 97. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Resolution 98, sponsored by Alderman Kennedy, approving the establishment of the North Central Special Business District.
Alderman from the 18th, you recognize on first reading resolution number 98.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move that it be sent to committee.
It's been moved, which committee?
Ways and Means.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 18th that we assign resolution 98 to Ways and Means. It's seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, please assign resolution 98 to Ways and Means.
So noted.
And Mr. Clerk, before we move any further, I'm going to take you back to reference to committee because I need to ensure that you've gotten these correct. Line item 12. So under Transportation and Commerce, I think you said it was 102 through 104, but it's 102 and 104 because 103 appears a little bit lower. So could you read through that reference to committee so we are sure that we have it right for the record?
Certainly. Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 102 and Board Bill 104.
And keep going.
Health and Human, Board Bill 100. Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning, Board Bill 101 and 103. Public Safety, Board Bill 105. Streets, Board Bills 106, 107, and 108.
All right, thanks. Please make note of that. Please make note of that.
So noted.
Second reading resolutions.
Resolution number 78, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad. The city's Land Reutilization Authority receives title to all tax delinquent properties not sold at sheriff's sale and receives title to properties through donations, and the St. Louis Development Corporation maintains markets and sells LRA properties. That is the extent of second reading of resolutions, Mr. President.
Alderman from the 21st, you recognize on the second reading resolution number 78.
Hey, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move to adopt resolution number 78.
Moved by the Alderman from the 21st. I entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 7th. Alderman from the 21st, please proceed. Please proceed. Did you want to discuss it at all?
No, sir.
All right. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 21st, seconded by the Alderman from the 7th. Any further discussion that we adopt resolution number 78? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous unfinished business.
We have none, Mr. President.
Alderman from the 19th.
Members of the board, we recognized under the courtesy resolution, resolution number 87 as 97. It was approved, and technically 97 is under first reading of resolutions, and it is something that is important that I need to have taken through the process.
Mr. Clerk, I'm not sure how that error ended up in there, but please make note of that under first reading of resolutions.
May I have the privilege of having first reading acknowledged for resolution 97?
Yes.
Resolution 97, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, affirming Board of Aldermen support for the modernization and strengthening of the Community Investment Act.
Mr. President and members of the board, the reason why I think that this resolution is important, and I would like to ask for consent, is because everywhere in this nation, we are looking at how to strengthen our communities, most especially urban communities. And the Community Investment Act is one of the #1 priorities with the Conference of Mayors right now. It is a #1 priority on their list. As you heard from our governor, it is also #1 on his list. And even though all the chaos we have in Washington, D.C., those who are paying attention and doing their work, that is #2 on their list. Community Investment Act has been butchered to some degree, but we know that it needs to be strengthened and improved in order for our cities to improve. So I would love for us to give unanimous consent and make sure that people know and understand that we support those efforts, and we also know the importance of it.
All right, so you're requesting unanimous consent for resolution number
97.
97. So it's been,
so I'd like to make a motion for unanimous consent on resolution number 97.
hearing no objection, please proceed, Alderwoman.
I just renewed my motion.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 19th that we adopt the resolution, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 27th and the 13th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We also have with us our new assistant clerk. Sharita, could you please stand? Let's give her a big round of applause. Next week, Sharita will be up here reading through the agenda, but we're so proud to have her. She's done a great job thus far. If you have not had a chance to meet her and talk to her, get in her office and go and sit and talk with her. And any advice you can give her, I'm sure she'll be happy to have, but she is doing a great job for the Board of Aldermen already. Let's give her one more big round of applause for her move forward. Announcements. Any announcements?
Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, the Public Safety Committee will meet at 10 a.m. in the Kennedy Room. Health and Human Services shall meet at 12 p.m. in the Leisure Room. The Legislation Committee will meet on September 11th at 9 a.m. Location to be announced. That is the extent of announcements, Mr. President.
Alderman from 11th.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. Tuesday, September 11th also marks the Jewish New Year, so I want to wish everyone celebrating in the city a Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 18th, you recognize Alderman, where? Oh, yeah. Come on, Alderman from the 4th.
I forgot to thank my wife.
Oh, there you go. That was a big save. All right, Alderman from the 1st.
Mr. President, members of the board, I just want to say again how happy I am to have Alderman Moore, probably more happy than others. Alderman Moore said I was running his ward, but I actually was his NSO. I was doing everything he told me to do, so I want to get that straight, and that was to do as much as possible to get grass cut, trash pickup, and that's what you do when you're neighboring alderpersons, and I have an alderperson who works well with me in the 4th Ward. And I want to also thank his committee woman. I didn't say anything because I knew he was going to introduce her, but she was a big part in that. And I also forgot to introduce one of my own constituents, Sean Sims, who lives in the 1st Ward. It's my special guest.
Alderman from the 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to just say happy belated birthday to one of our colleagues, Miss Alderwoman Sarah Martin, who had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 18th, you recognize on the motion to excuse.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move that the alderman from the 10th and the 23rd be excused for necessary absence.
Moved by the Alderman from the 18th. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 20th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman from the 18th, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move that the board adjourns until Friday, September 14th, 10 a.m.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 18th, seconded by the Alderman from the 6th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Stand adjourned.